Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with the Spain News Update. And if you are a homeowner in Spain with an illegal swimming pool or house extension, watch out, because the authorities are coming for you. But more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation or by buying me a beer or a coffee, or through the new Super Thanks option. Many thanks for that. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your continuing support. Now let's get into the news, and as I said, local governments in Spain are said to be cracking down on illegal swimming pools and house extensions. As we can see here, hunt for illegal swimming pools and home additions. The luxury of being able to build a swimming pool at home or to gain a few meters to the living room by enclosing the terrace can become a real nightmare for their owners when it is done outside the law. The cadastral regularization plan launched by the Ministry of Finance between 2014 and 2018, but which is still in force today, has resulted in more than 3 million cases being opened throughout Spain for enclosures, new constructions or extensions to dwellings that have not been legalized. The penalty for an unlicensed swimming pool can range from 1,200 to 2,000 euros. So there we go. If you put a pool in your backyard and didn't go through the proper channels, you could be in trouble. Or maybe you did some home renovations or some extension work and also didn't tell the local council, again, you could be in trouble. And as we saw, the penalty for having an unlicensed swimming pool in Spain can be up to 2,000 euros. Now we all know that Spain has had some pretty extreme weather in recent times, severe drought affecting some parts of the country, more heat waves than normal, and of course wildfires raging throughout the country. And as we can read here, extreme weather is putting pressure on the Spanish political agenda. It's not the same to read about it in one of the hundreds of scientific reports published every month as it is to feel it firsthand. It is not the same to be told what is to come as to suffer days and days of extreme temperatures, or not being able to sleep on torrid nights, or that no water comes out of the tap, or try to stop the flames that are going to devour your house with buckets, or to see how the yield of your crops plummets due to the heat. Extreme weather and all its derivatives have exploded in Spain this summer, which is on course to become the hottest ever recorded in the country since reliable measurements began at the beginning of the 20th century. So there we go, many people in Spain feeling the effects of this extreme weather firsthand. And it now seems that these weather extremes will become a priority for Spain's politicians. It's about time. Now, keeping on the subject of the weather, and after a week of cooler temperatures in many parts of the country, temperatures will rise again this Monday in the interior of the southern half of mainland Spain and the Canary Islands. Temperatures will rise this Monday, the 22nd of August, especially in the interior of the southern half of the mainland and in the Canary Islands, with 13 provinces at risk of high temperatures, according to the forecast of the State Meteorological Agency, the AEMET. Specifically, the heat will activate warnings in Córdoba, Granada, Huelva, Jaén, Málaga, Seville, Ávila, Cuenca, Toledo, Badajoz, Cáceres, Gran Canaria, Fuerteventura, La Palma, La Gomera, Tenerife, and El Hierro. The coastal phenomena will put Menorca, La Gomera, Tenerife, El Hierro, and Gran Canaria at risk, and the wind will put La Gomera, Tenerife, El Hierro, Gran Canaria, and Lanzarote at risk. So just when you thought the hot weather had gone, back it comes. Now we all know that Spain can be a difficult country when it comes to bureaucracy or red tape. Not easy to get even the simplest things done sometimes in Spain. And apparently a lot of young people are now realizing for the first time just how difficult bureaucracy can be. As we can see here, young people's fight against bureaucracy. Applying for the cultural voucher is more difficult than getting the baccalaureate. A Rosalia concert, the new installment of the FIFA video game, a volume with the latest adventures of Spider-Man, or a subscription to a platform to enjoy the latest series, and there are still many more options offered by the Bono Cultural Joven, a grant of 400 euros that those who turn 18 in 2022 can invest in the cultural industry. The incentive was launched on the 25th of July as one of the government's star measures, but so far the road to achieving it is not an easy one, especially for an age group that is not used to dealing with bureaucracy. Added to this are problems with the servers of the official portals and an overload convoluted agenda that makes it difficult to get an appointment to carry out the necessary formalities in person, according to testimonies gathered by this newspaper. So young people, realizing for the first time just how difficult it is to deal with bureaucracy in Spain, trying to get their hands on that €400 cultural grant. So bienvenidos a la realidad de vivir en España. Welcome to the reality of living in Spain. Now, there's been a lot of press in recent times about the Iberian exception, the fact that Spain and Portugal have broken away from the rest of the European Union when it comes to gas prices, and one European Union country is said to be taking advantage of cheaper energy costs in Spain and importing more energy from Spain than ever. And which country is it? Well, you guessed it, France. As we can see here, France takes advantage of the Iberian exception to buy 200% more energy from Spain as it recharges its nuclear plants. 2 months after the entry into force of the Iberian derogation, France has increased its electricity imports from Spain by almost 200% and has also reduced its exports by around 95%. The country, with a strong commitment to nuclear energy, takes advantage of the summer to carry out maintenance and refueling of its reactors for the winter and supplies its energy needs as much as possible with Spanish generation, which has depended heavily on gas during the summer period. Thus, since the Iberian gas cap began, Spain has been exporting electricity to France at almost full capacity. So, there we go, France increases its energy imports from Spain by almost 200% while it carries out maintenance on its own nuclear reactors. Now, we all know that Spain has some of the highest inflation in the Eurozone. We also know that Spain has some of the highest unemployment in the Eurozone, and apparently if you put these two things together, it creates misery for the average citizen. As we can see, unemployment plus inflation, Spain, Greece and the Baltic countries lead the misery index in the Eurozone. Sometimes it's the simplest indicators that tell the most important story. Unemployment and inflation are two of the macroeconomic variables that translate most easily into the real life of the citizen. They evoke two simple questions: whether you have a job and what you can buy with your income. With these two components in mind, the so-called misery index was devised in the 1970s. Spain has never fared well in this indicator due to its historical differential with its comparable countries, both in employment and prices, but now, with the post-pandemic economic situation and the war in Ukraine, with inflation verging on double digits, the situation is even worse. Together with the Baltic republics, especially hard hit by the war conflict, and the dysfunctional Greek economy, Spain leads the indicator in the Eurozone, far behind countries that should be comparable, such as Germany, France or Italy. So rule number one, if you want to enjoy living in Spain, don't compare yourself to other European countries except Greece and the Baltic countries, because otherwise you will be miserable the whole time. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Stella: if the local people get displaced from rental properties which become Airbnb or short-term holiday rentals, reducing their options and driving up rents, then I'd expect to see anger and resentment, especially if the rentals are owned by foreigners. Yes, Stella, thanks for the comment, and obviously referring to something that we saw the other day about how anti-tourist graffiti is appearing on walls in some Barcelona neighborhoods again. This type of graffiti and the anti-tourism sentiment in some parts of Barcelona was common before the pandemic hit, when the Airbnb revolution was in full swing, but during 2020 and 2021 it disappeared because basically there were no tourists. But come 2022, and with Barcelona streets again bustling with tourists, back comes the graffiti and the anti-tourism sentiment, and locals, or at least some locals in those neighborhoods, are not happy. And the reasons are most likely the ones that you mentioned in your comment, that holiday rentals like Airbnb push up rental prices for locals, and also other services in the neighborhood go up in price. For example, supermarket prices and things like that, because as we know, tourists are willing to pay more money for basic things. And another issue, I think, and you also pointed it out in your comment, is that a lot of these holiday rentals are owned by foreigners or foreign companies that are looking to make a buck in these cities, not only in Barcelona, but in other popular holiday destinations in Spain too. So good luck to the people that have to deal with this problem. One here from Tony: without tourism, where is Spain going to get its 20 billion euros from, which it usually makes each year? Some people have no brains. Yeah, Tony, thanks for the comment, and obviously that's the other side of the coin, the money that tourism brings to local economies. And as we know, tourism dollars are a huge chunk of Spain's GDP. And it's also one of the main reasons that Spain's economy has not recovered to pre-pandemic levels, because as we know, in 2020 and 2021, the tourism sector was absolutely decimated. So again, good luck to the people that have to sort this out. One here from John: Germany won't need Spain or France. They will solve their energy problems themselves before the EU can agree on a plan. Yeah, John, thanks for the comment, and obviously referring to the new gas pipeline that Portugal, Spain and Germany think will help solve some of Germany's energy woes. Germany, as we know, is desperately looking for new ways to wean itself off Russian gas dependence, and the new pipeline, as I said, is one of the ways Germany hopes to do this. However, a spanner has been thrown in the works, as I mentioned the other day, because France doesn't think that this is the best solution. France apparently has its own plan, and it doesn't include Spain and Portugal. But you're most likely right, John, and Germany will find its own solutions to its energy problems and not wait for the European Union to reach a consensus, which, as we know, could take months, if not years. One here from Finstadel about Valencia being the healthiest. Perhaps when it comes to big cities, Valencia has really bad city roads, and the conditions for pedestrians and cyclists are not good either. So more risky when moving about, some pollution too. However, if you live outside the city, you don't have those issues. Yeah, Finstadel, thanks for the comment, and this was something that we saw last week, I think, the fact that Valencia was named the healthiest city in the world in a recent survey on a website called money.co.uk, I think. Don't quote me on that. But of course, Valencia came out on top as the healthiest city in the world. And the reasons, well, obviously the quality of life that you can get in a city like Valencia, the diet that they have there, the famous Mediterranean diet, no doubt the reasons why Valencia is on top. Valencia's done well in a lot of surveys recently. I think it was also named the best city in the world for expats or for foreign residents. I think that was last year, maybe the year before. So Valencia, a very, very popular city when it comes to these things. Quality of life and living in general in a nice Mediterranean city. But as you said in your comment, it does have some issues, for example, bad roads in your opinion, and also pollution. But then again, pollution is common in virtually every big city in the world, not only the ones in Spain. But again, when it comes to big city living in Spain, I think Valencia is a very good option, especially when you compare it to other big cities, for example, Barcelona and Madrid. But that's just my opinion. One here from Maria: why would a train driver ask passengers to leave a train knowing that he or she could return to Valencia? And if it was true, why didn't they all get off? I really don't want to know any more about heat waves. Just tell me when it's going to rain. Yeah, Maria, thanks for the comment, and obviously referring to that train journey the other day that almost ended in tragedy for the 50 or so people on board as the train set off from Valencia on its way to Zaragoza, and it went through an area that was ravaged by fire. The drama started when the train came out of a tunnel and found itself surrounded by flames, and passengers on the train alleged that the driver told them to get off. The train driver then reversed the train to get out of the area quick smart and picked up the passengers that had decided to flee. And there are now 3 or 4 investigations underway to find out exactly what happened. And when it comes to rain in Spain and when it's going to start to fall on the plains, sorry, can't help you. And finally, one here from Hugh Jason: are the heat waves going to have any effect on Spanish wine and wine production? Should I stock up? Yeah, Hugh, thanks for the comment, but unfortunately you're asking the wrong guy about what type of an effect the current heat waves in Spain will have on wine production in the country. I like to drink wine, but I'm not an expert when it comes to growing it. But luckily, I imagine there will be lots of replies to your comment from people telling you whether it's a good idea to stock up on Spanish wine or not. So let Hugh know in the comment section what to do. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in that section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.